4 years ago, I was promoting one of the Tekken movies.
Right.
That Steven Seagal. This journalist suddenly said, "Hey, what do you think of Steven Seagal saying you don't know how to punch?" I was like,
Steven Seagal ruled the 90s playing untouchable action legends on screen. But behind the scenes, his vibe hit way different. Every stunt pro, martial artist, and actress who dealt with him carried their own story, and none of them were light. Whispers spread through studios, rumors stacked up over the years, and one thing became crystal clear. Barely anybody walked away impressed by this man. Most people left sets either heated, shaken, or ready to step outside and settle it for real. Here are the names of the folks who hit that breaking point and the exact moments that pushed them there. Charlize Theron, the one who didn't hold back. Charlize Theron almost never puts other actors on blast, especially not with that edge in her voice. But when a 2020 radio host brought up Steven Seagal, she didn't hesitate for a second. She'd seen those clips of him tossing stuntmen around like they were props, and she cracked up, not in a friendly way. "He can barely fight, he's just pushing people around," she said, and the room went silent. Then her whole energy shifted. The laughter stopped, and she spoke straight from the chest as she brought up the women across the industry who said Seagal mistreated them. "He's not nice to women," she said flat out, no fear, no filter. "So I have no problem saying something about him." And then came the line that hit Hollywood like a shock wave. "So, fuck him." She didn't even raise her voice. She didn't need to. Coming from Charlize, a woman who trains harder than half the action stars out here, that was a clean knockout blow Seagal never even tried to swing back at. Liam Neeson, the precision strike. Liam Neeson didn't need to yell or flex, and his hit landed smooth, sharp, and deadly quiet. When a talk show host brought up Seagal claiming that Neeson didn't know how to punch, the former boxer just blinked like he couldn't believe the nonsense he was hearing. "I know how to punch," he said, voice dropping low enough to make the whole room lean in. Then the host cracked a joke about Seagal vanishing into Russia, and Neeson let out this slow, knowing smile before replying, "I don't know if he moved there or we sent him there." Everybody laughed, but underneath that joke was something icy. Liam wasn't buying Seagal's tough guy stories, his skills, or the legend he tried to build around himself. John Leguizamo, the man Seagal slammed into a wall. No showdown in Seagal's history is more legendary than this one. During rehearsals for Executive Decision, Seagal strutted in like he owned the whole building and announced, "I am in command. What I say is law." It sounded so over the top that John Leguizamo burst out laughing. Because who talks like that with a straight face? Seagal wasn't amused. Without warning, he slammed Leguizamo into a brick wall with an Aikido elbow that knocked the wind clean out of him. All John could gasp was, "Why?" as everyone froze in disbelief. Years later, Leguizamo flipped that moment into pure comedy, clowning Seagal's stiff running style on stage and turning the whole thing into a fan favorite bit. When Seagal heard about it, he reportedly threatened to teach him a lesson, trying to keep the tough guy aura alive. Leguizamo's comeback? He just shrugged and said, "I don't think he's invited to many red carpets," dropping the kind of line that cuts deeper because it's true. Juliana Margulies, the gun on the couch. Before ER turned her into a household name, Juliana Margulies walked into a hotel room thinking it was just a regular audition. Nothing wild, nothing risky, but the second she sat down, she felt something solid under the cushion and her whole body snapped to alert. Seagal casually reached under, pulled out a handgun, and dropped it on the table like it was a TV remote. Then he leaned in and told her he wanted to read her palm because he was a healer, all while that loaded weapon sat inches away. The vibe was so tense it could cut glass. Margulies dipped out of that room fast, heart racing and instincts screaming. Later, she admitted that moment is exactly why she refused a similar private meeting request from Harvey Weinstein. She already knew what real danger felt like. She'd crossed paths with fear once, and she wasn't about to gamble with her safety a second time. Portia de Rossi, the audition that became a trap. Portia de Rossi walked into what she thought was her final audition, totally unaware she was about to live through one of the wildest Seagal stories in Hollywood history. According to her, Seagal started talking about chemistry, trying to set some strange vibe, and then he unzipped his leather pants right in front of her. She sprinted out of that room without looking back. When she told her agent, hoping someone would finally step up for her, the answer froze her on the spot. Well, I didn't know if he was your type. That line showed exactly how twisted the system around Seagal had become. DeRossi's story didn't just expose him, it exposed how deep the industry rot really ran and how long people had been letting it slide. Ronda Rousey, the daughter of a legend ready to finish the fight. Ronda Rousey's uncle is Gene LaBelle, the legendary stunt master who once put Seagal in a chokehold so clean that, according to crew whispers, Seagal got knocked out and even lost control of his bowels. That story tore through Hollywood fast, and it stuck to Seagal's name like glue. Rousey kept that memory locked in, so when people later asked her about Seagal, she didn't sugarcoat a thing. She said if he ever disrespected LaBelle in front of her, she'd make that old story play out all over again, just with way less kindness this time. And the wild part, she wasn't bluffing. Ronda's one of the few who could actually back that up without breaking a sweat. Ray Dawn Chong, the hotel hallway standoff. Chong pulled up to a late-night meeting at the Bel Air Hotel, and the second she stepped in the doorway, her instincts told her something was off. She refused to go any farther, choosing to stand right there instead of walking into a bad situation. Seagal showed up wearing a robe, sat down with his legs spread wide, and exposed himself like it was nothing. Then had the nerve to ask if he could feel her blouse. Chong shut that down instantly, firing back, "You know what silk feels like," before turning around and leaving without hesitation. Later, she kept it real and said, if he tried anything, I'd have fought him, and I'd have won. And you could tell she meant every word. Jean-Claude Van Damme, the fight Seagal ran from twice. Seagal loved clowning Van Damme's fighting skills on TV, always trying to score cheap shots. At one point, he even sneered, "Can I laugh in your face?" like he really thought nothing could touch him. But when Van Damme finally got fed up, the real story came out fast. During a 1997 party at Sylvester Stallone's place, Van Damme stepped right up to Seagal and challenged him to settle it in the backyard for real. Seagal didn't swing, didn't square up, he just dipped out of the party completely. Van Damme wasn't done though. He tracked Seagal to a nightclub later that night, ready to finish what Seagal started. And Seagal disappeared again without a word. Stallone broke it down in the cleanest way possible. Van Damme was too strong. Seagal didn't want any of it. And that line still hits because everyone knew it was true. SNL, the episode everyone wants erased. When Steven Seagal hosted Saturday Night Live back in 1991, the cast still talks about it like a battle they barely survived. Folks behind the scenes said it was one of the roughest weeks the show had ever seen, and the chaos was non-stop. He trashed jokes he didn't even understand, refused to play any character that wasn't heroic, and at one point, locked himself in his dressing room because a sketch joked that two bodybuilders could beat him. The whole crew was stunned that he took himself that seriously. Even Lorne Michaels, who usually keeps things polite, couldn't hold back later on. When asked who the biggest jerk to ever host the show was, he said it straight, Steven Seagal. That's not just a reputation, and that's basically a career tombstone, and everyone heard it loud and clear. DMX, the collaboration that ended in insults. DMX teamed up with Seagal in Exit Wounds, but the rapper's real memories hit way different from Seagal's calm, polished interviews. DMX cracked jokes about Seagal's painted-on hairline, roasted his slow, dragged-out voice, and even said he called him a word I can't repeat here, and trust me, the energy behind it was loud. And yet, years later, Hollywood pulled off the impossible. They ended up working together again on another film. It just shows that in this business, even real tension can end up getting negotiated when the cameras and contracts come calling Jenny McCarthy, the audition that made her cry. McCarthy recalled that during her audition for Under Siege 2, Seagal told her to take off her dress because the role required nudity. She pushed back immediately, explaining the script had no scene like that. And she was right, but Seagal kept pressing her, refusing to drop it until she broke down in tears and sprinted out of the room. Out in the parking lot, things got even worse. She said Seagal grabbed her arm and warned her not to tell anyone, trying to scare her into silence while she was already shaken. Decades later, she hasn't softened 1 inch. When asked what she'd say to him today, she put it bluntly, "You're an expletive, and I hope you changed." Her voice didn't crack. It came out solid, like someone who refuses to let the past get rewritten. George Foreman, the heavyweight who wanted a real fight, back in 2017, George Foreman stepped up and publicly challenged Seagal to a full-on Vegas showdown. 10 rounds, any style, no excuses. Foreman even claimed he'd finished the whole thing in just 2 rounds, sounding ready to make a statement in front of the whole world. Seagal didn't reply, didn't blink, didn't throw a single word back, and to this day, that challenge is still floating in the air, untouched and unanswered, like a bell that never got its second ring. Rachel Grant, the most disturbing accusation of all. Rachel Grant, recognized from Die Another Day, said that during an audition in Bulgaria, Seagal crossed a serious line that left her shaken and in tears. She says he pulled at her clothing, forced her onto a bed, and started acting in a way that made her feel unsafe until she broke down crying, which finally made him stop. Seagal's lawyers denied every part of her account, but the reality is hard to ignore. Her story sounds painfully similar to far too many others linked to him. And in Hollywood, when that many voices echo the same warning, people start paying attention. Chuck Norris, the quiet dismissal. When people asked Chuck Norris about Seagal's martial arts skills, he kept it respectful, giving a calm, polite answer like a true professional. But the second the conversation shifted to Seagal's personality, Norris's smile faded fast and the whole room felt the temperature drop. "It carries over into his life, unfortunately," he said, choosing his words carefully but making the message clear enough for everyone to catch. Then someone asked if Seagal had ever tried to threaten him physically, and Norris dropped the coldest line of the night without blinking. He wouldn't dare. One sentence and the entire conversation changed direction instantly. So who is Steven Seagal, really? A master martial artist, a misunderstood icon, a guy who swears the world never gave him a fair shake, or someone the industry slowly backed away from for reasons that kept stacking up over the years? Hollywood has thrown every label at him, but the truth still hits different depending on who you ask. You decide, and make sure to like, subscribe, share, drop a comment, and see you on the next one.